what is up everyone, Chris Harvey here. Thanks so much for checking out this video where today we are going to be talking about improvising, guitar solos, and I'm going to share an approach with you all that you might find slightly controversial, but it's a really good rut buster. So if you feel like your playing is maybe stagnating a little bit and you're looking for some new ideas, then this video might be for you. So make sure to stick around. So let's start by playing a little game. That guitar solo that I played at the top of this video, was there anything that you noticed in that solo that I didn't do? It's a pretty fundamental thing that everybody learns when they first start getting into lead guitar, but it was something that I purposely left out when improvising that solo. So the eagle-eyed amongst you might have noticed that I didn't actually bend any strings during that solo. And this kind of leads me on to the thought process behind why I've decided to make this video today. Because I, as a guitar player, am really tired of hearing people relying on bends to basically accentuate notes during guitar solos. It might be a pretty controversial opinion, and it's not entirely true because I do feel like bending notes does have a lot of merit. Some people do it really well, especially if you've grown up with blues rock, people like Joe Bonamassa, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Hendrix, Clapton. Bending notes are pretty much a big part of their sound. But I definitely feel there are a ton of amazing guitar players who don't really bend strings that often, but in my mind create a much more melodic and smooth sounding guitar sound. I guess I'm just at a point in my guitar playing, and you might be as well, where you're looking for something a little bit different and you're trying to freshen up your sound. And this is something that I've been working on for the last year or so, where instead of relying on full tone bends to get to the notes to give them, I guess, more expression and more feeling, you know, insert ambiguous guitar adjective for sentimental feelings like that. And really, I've come to notice that there are a load of different ways that you can do that without actually bending the string. This isn't necessarily a technique that you should use as a get out of jail free card for not practicing your bends, because I do feel that there is a lot of merit, like I said, in bending strings, but it's that over reliance on bending that I feel is becoming slightly cliche. So I definitely recommend that you all practice bends, make sure that you know the string tension of your guitar, where those bends actually fall, but have a couple of other approaches in the back pocket just to help freshen things up. And that's what I'm going to teach you today. A big inspiration for me when developing this approach for myself came from listening to a lot of slide guitarists, and it comes from wanting a more vocal style in guitar solos. Melody and a more vocal approach is definitely something that makes a guitar solo stand out as being something that is very sophisticated and very listenable. And being listenable is something that is really important. And Derek Trucks is somebody who is a master of this, and he creates a very vocal sound on his guitar with the slide. And that's because the slide basically ignores all the frets, and that motion of sliding from one note to the next gives that vocal quality, because that's pretty much how singers approach singing melodies. I'm going to insert a clip here of Derek playing a solo just to remind us all of one, how amazing he is, and to show how vocal this sound actually is on the guitar. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, we're not slide guitarists, and that is 100% true. I'm not a slide guitarist, and I've tried to adopt some of these approaches into a more regular playing style. And somebody who does this really well is Josh Smith. Of course, Josh is a virtuoso, and we can only dream of being half the guitar player that he is. But when you listen to his blues solos or any phrases that he plays, you'll often hear that he incorporates slides more so than bends in a lot of instances. And when people typically describe Josh's playing, they will naturally say things like his playing is very smooth, it's very slick, his lines are very melodic, and they're very vocal sounding. And it's that slide approach that actually creates that sound. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to play for a little bit without a track, just with the guitar isolated. I'm going to just show you some licks that are purely pentatonic based that incorporate this new sliding approach as opposed to bending, and they're all going to be licks that you would traditionally incorporate bends in, but I'm going to show you how it sounds when you don't have any of that. And feel free to use the kind of slow down speed function on the YouTube player to kind of slow down the actual audio, because if you want to steal some of these licks, absolutely go ahead. This is what this video is all about. So I'll be back with you in just a minute. Now, a final thing I want to mention in the whole kind of realm of bending strings on the guitar is kind of incorporating bends in a slightly different way than you might traditionally think of them. If you're wanting to make your guitar playing smoother and more vocal-like, then incorporating more microtonal bends, and what I mean by that is rather than bending to a particular note, you're just adding a slight inflection on the end of a note to give it a slightly different texture, then I think that's where bending has a whole load of merit. When a singer typically sings, they aren't singing at a constant pitch unless they have perfect pitch or that's a particular gift that they have, but the majority of singers will fluctuate their pitch just because of the nature of a voice. So when I bend, I typically don't bend very much more than a semitone, and that's just a particularly personal thing. If you're trying to create your own voice on the guitar, which is something that I want to do and something a lot of guitar players strive for, then thinking outside of the box and doing things a bit differently is one way to get there. So let me just show you some of these microtonal bends just so you get an idea of the sound that we're going for. And again, feel free to slow this part of the video down. So guys, there we have it. A quick lesson. I hope you found that helpful. It's definitely something that I've been working on recently, and I just thought I would share it with you all. If you found it helpful, make sure to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all next week for another video.